welcome back, Steeler Nation, after a long bye-week break to the Northern Steel Podcast. I'm your host, Dominic, and we got a little change-up. You know him, you love him. I'm bringing him back for another episode and potentially more. We'll get into that in a second. It's my good friend, Derek Fletcher. Give it up for the people, Derek.
They don't know me or love me, but all right.
They're cheering loud. Yeah, Derek, he's back finally. We love his takes. I've got such great rave reviews from my dad being like, wow, Derek's pretty positive on the podcast. To that I say, if only we were doing a Vikings podcast, then you'd hear how not positive he is. But this is not Derek's team, so he's going to stay positive. He's going to stay into it. Derek is going to be overtaking the podcast for a little bit. Chris needs to take a little break, needs to take a little leave from it. And instead of ending the podcast and being done with it, I just want to keep going. And Derek is nice enough to join me along, even though he's not a Steeler fan, but he likes to talk about football. He likes to indulge in my nonsense with this team. So I thought, who better than to talk sports with than Derek right now while Chris kind of figures his stuff out. What do you think, Derek? What do you have to say about that?
I mean, I'm like Russell Wilson. I'm stepping in, and I'm going to be throwing moonballs here.
Yeah, no, I love the analogy, and I love it because we are going to talk about the Giants game first, where moonballs were thrown galore. First, I do want to have to point out, I don't think I said this. This is episode 86, getting close to 100 after the famous Heinz Ward. And please follow us and like our pages as I get to episode 100. Will I quit at episode 100? Maybe. Will I fly to Pittsburgh and jump off one of the bridges? Maybe. Who knows? But stick around and for us to that. But for right now, we're going to do the highlights against New York Giants. So if you missed that game because you were too busy reminiscing about Saquon doing jump backward hurdles instead of in Eagles uniforms instead of blue and red, I got you covered right now. Starting these highlights off with the only thing that makes sense. That's right. It's a Chris Boswell field goal. The MVP puts the Steelers up by 3. And you know what? Instead of watching some other plays, let's skip past all that Steelers stuff. Let's go right to the Giants' next possession. Daniel Jones drops back the pass. He's looking deep. I'm sure the throw isn't even close. Oh my God, it's a piss missile to Darius Slayton. The Giants came to play, but also they'll have to settle for a field goal, and that's how it's going to go for a little bit. We move on. That's fine. Game's tied 3-3. Bend but don't break defense. And hey, if you thought watching 2 out of 3 field goal highlights was cool, how about 3 out of 4? That's right. We skip right to Boz making another field goal after another failed red zone attempt to making the score an electric 6-3. And then we're going to go to, that's right, another field goal. NFL.com doesn't care about the plays to get into scoring range. We just want to see the points, baby. Giants tie the game 6-6. And then, what the heck? How about another field goal highlight by the Boz again, making the score 9-6. And then another field goal highlight by the Giants right before half, 9-9. Field goal after field goal after field goal after field goal. Wake up! Wake up! This is a sign. We need you to wake up. After the half, we're fast forwarding to minutes left in the third quarter, and it's a punt highlight, people. And if you used to watch NFL Network back in the day, you know they only show these if it's a boo-boo or a highlight. And this is a highlight, as Calvin Austin III puts on the afterburners and runs by everyone like the 5-foot blur he is and returns the punt back for a touchdown. Thought maybe there would be a flag on that play, but refs had money on DraftKings and had to let it slide. I understand. And I'm glad they did, because finally we see somebody in the end zone. And because we zoom past the first half, you know they got to repeat this play 1 or 2 times to make sure everyone sees that this game did in fact have a touchdown. On the Steelers' next drive, it's 3rd and 11. Russ takes the snap. He's looking to his right, and he's going to throw a deep moon ball down the sidelines to Van Jefferson. In 2024, who's making a great catch like that? This has got to be our night for sure. Later in that drive, Russell throws, you guessed it, another deep moon ball to Calvin Austin III. Wide open again. How do you let this man run by you twice in this game? Is it because you can't look down because he's that short? I get it. CA3's putting on a show and making people wonder if the Steelers still need to trade for a wide receiver. Spoiler alert, they still do. Steelers are starting to run away with this one, no pun intended, with the score now 23-9. And now we get another kickoff highlight. It's no boo-boo for the Giants. They get a hefty return on this one to set them up for potential comeback status, bringing the ball all the way to the 45-yard line. And speaking of, a couple plays later, they handed it off to Tyrone Tracy, who just been absolutely killing the Steelers thus far. And I know you haven't seen it because these all have been field goal highlights, but trust me, he has been. And Tyrone rips it off for a 45-yard touchdown run. The Giants do go for 2 and get it to make the score 23-15. And I'd love to show you that, but instead, let's watch the same run touchdown from 3 different angles. I get it. The run defense is bad. All right, let's move on. You don't need to rub it in. I understand how bad they are. I understand there's no scoring. When every time there's a good play, we got to keep showing multiple angles. Who is the NFL intern making these edit reels? Hire Derek instead. He'll may do a better job. On the Steelers' next drive, Russ is back to pass. He's cooking. He's sauteing. He's throwing up a dish to George Pickens deep down the sidelines, and George is able to hang on and step out around the 5-yard line. Best throw from Russ I've seen yet this year. However, the Steelers are in the red zone, so you know what that means. No touchdown. Only field goals, baby. Boz putting the Steelers up 26-15 in the 4th. And with field goal highlights, when it rains, it pours. So let's skip to the Giants field goal, bringing them bring it to a one-score game again. 8 points away, 26-18. On the Steelers' next ensuing drive, with the clock ticking in the 4th, Russ starts to scramble, which is what you can't do, Russ. You're not Justin. He fumbles the ball, and Giants have life. Can they make a comeback? Can they do the unthinkable? Will the Steelers blow it? Will George Pickens transition to the WWE with that pro wrestling move to tackle that guy? Absolutely not, because TJ mother effing Watt gets the sack on this dumbass left tackle who wanted to be on an island all game against TJ, and now he's looking like Castaway. But instead of Wilson, it's TJ. Giants get one more chance, and just like the last Jersey team to play this one, they also throw picks to Beanie Bishop. Steelers ball, Steelers win, get cooked, L+ ratio. See y'all in Washington, D.C. post the election. Salute. That's the game. Steelers win, Steelers bye week, election day done. But this isn't a political podcast. We talk about football here. Matter of fact, on election day, I called up Chris, and I was like, today's the day. And he said, you care about the president that much? And I said, no, it's NFL trade deadline day. And I'm ready to go. And I was excited about that. And we'll get into that in a second. But that was a Monday night game, Derek. Did you happen to watch the game? What did you think about that game as a non-Steeler fan?
I did. Yes, I saw the majority of that game. And kind of like since Russell's came in, boring first halves followed by kind of righting the wrongs that they've had. And the defense is still closing out games. So if you kind of think of this as Russell Wilson's kind of start to his quarterback tenure in Pittsburgh, I mean, this is like week 3 for him. You know, he's only had a couple weeks for this, and I feel they're getting some chemistry going, and they're getting used to some stuff. They're still kicking those field goals, but you know, as a coach, I think it's a good move that they're doing that, and they are scoring points.
Well, to bring it back to like a schematic standpoint, a serious standpoint, the whole field goal thing too with the red zone is unfortunate. Hopefully that gets better because, like you said, he's only been playing for 2 weeks. This will be his 3rd week starting coming up here soon. But Justin Fields, when he was playing, he didn't get them in scoring position as often as Russ was doing it. But because his legs are such a weapon, they were more efficient in the red zone than Russ has been. So I'm wondering, because Justin Fields also had a hurt hamstring right before that game, that if we potentially see some packages where Justin Fields comes in the red zone to maybe bring that efficiency up higher because of his legs being such a weapon, a la Taysom Hill with the Saints. Like, will we see some packages where they bring him in those situations just to make sure we get a touchdown on the board? That's what I'm wondering.
I mean, it'd be dumb not to do it. I mean, they're starting to do stuff. They're starting to sign people. They're starting to act like, hey, you know, the postseason's coming up, and I don't know if we have the tools to make it past wild card weekend. And you know,
they have it. In 8
they
years.
have it. They haven't, no. And I think to get past that point, not only do you need pass rushers and receivers, but you might need just another little niche in your offense. And I think Justin Fields could be that guy.
And those are so huge too, because I know shoulda, coulda, wouldas don't really matter in the NFL. But with that score being 26-18, some plays were called back from holding penalties and whatever else. But let's say everything goes perfectly and you score touchdowns, and then that's a difference of 42-18 in that game. So
Right.
it changes quick when you convert those field goals from touchdowns. Yeah, I have to. It's good to get the ball rolling. It's good to go into bye week. They're going to get a bunch of people back this week, but the next 9 games, I guess, or how many are left? I think it's 9. They're 6-2. So is that 9 left?
9 + 8 is 17. Yep.
Thank you so much. Almost embarrassed myself.
Math. This is a math podcast.
Almost embarrassed myself on that one. Oh man. Their next 9 games are extremely tough. Every single game is going to be really hard. But one thing I've always preached, Derek, and maybe I don't know if I've ever talked to you about this, but if you know, some fans are like, oh, I hope the Bengals keep losing. I hope the Ravens can lose some games so the Steelers can sneak in. I hope the Steelers can, these other teams lose so the Steelers can win. In my opinion, you cannot lose to every good team on your schedule and then expect to do well in the playoffs. So these next 9 games are going to be a gauntlet, but they need to pick up some wins. They need to pick up some dominant wins and look good against some good teams to prove to themselves and to fans that when they get to the playoffs, they can make a pass to wild card round. And these next games are going to show that.
Right. And I mean, even bringing it back to Justin Fields, if you try out these things in these weeks and they don't work out, then I think as a team, okay, we're not going to do like red zone packages with Justin Fields. That's not what our offense is going to do. They pick up Mike Williams. It's like, okay, we're going to throw some moon balls to Mike Williams, or maybe get some other looks for Pickens, Jefferson, Austin. Like, you got to try things out. And they're sitting at 6-2. The Bills are 7-2. And I mean, Kansas City's still undefeated, but the first place is not out of reach for them. They shouldn't be thinking about, oh, how do we just win the division, or how do we just get, a 6th seed or fifth seed or 7th seed? You need to be looking at like, how do we set ourselves up for a home playoff game, and then potentially being in like a 1-score game between a Buffalo or a Kansas City. That's where you need to be.
And hopefully they are thinking that. And then also, thank you too for the little spoiler, but jumping ahead to the bye week and the trade deadline, the Steelers did pick up Mike Williams. They got the receiver. I was pretty whelmed by that decision, but hey, what I always say is they're a Steeler now, so time to root for them. But that wasn't the move I wanted to see them make, but they tried, man. They've been trying for a long time, and they get Mike Williams. So we'll see how that goes. Like Derek said, he's a moonball kind of guy, jumps up for the ball. He's going to try to grab a lot of deep shots from Russell Wilson. He's already been talking about that in practice with a big smile on his face. And then they also picked up Preston Smith in the trade deadline. Packer outside edge for the Packers. He's got 68.5 sacks in his career. He's a 3-4 edge player, but the Packers switched to a 4-3 defense, and he said he wanted out because of that. Didn't fit the scheme. So now the Steelers are going to have rotation on the outside of TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, which I don't know if Derek you know, but he's a second-year player who has 3 sacks already. He's kind of a beast. Also from Wisconsin, like TJ Watt, and Preston Smith in their rotation. So just nonstop people blitzing you with veracity the entire time, which I think was a great pickup for them.
Depth. Yeah. They have depth. And I think Gutekunst even said it for Green Bay. He's like, okay, yeah, we made this move. We got a draft pick. I mean, for them, it made sense because he's a vet. I think he's out of his prime now, or according to Green Bay, out of his prime. He's not going to be that 10 to 12 sack guy. He's, in a rotation, but this is perfect for the Steelers because they don't need him to be a Pro Bowler.
No.
And I don't know if Preston Smith, he's never been like an all-pro or anything like that, but he's certainly been a dependable guy. And
I mean, he's definitely had a couple 12-sack seasons. So I don't know if he's made the Pro Bowl off of that. But my thing's more like last year the Steelers had Marcus Golden, who was an older outside edge player. And I think he had 3 sacks last year, or 4 sacks maybe. And just coming in relief, I mean, Preston Smith with half the season left, if he came in relief and picked up 4 sacks on this back 9 games, to me that's extremely successful for the amount of, because he'll be playing strictly relief ball for TJ.
Exactly. He just needs to give more life into the defense. And last year he had 8 sacks, and he just needs to continue to be a vet.
I mean, think about how frustrating that would be if, like, when TJ's off the field and you're like, okay, we're TJ's off the field, time to go back to pass because they're not getting here. And Preston Smith is still coming at you, and he has enough juice. Obviously, he's not playing the whole game. So he's coming out fresh, and hopefully he's rushing you, hopefully with some quickness and speed. I mean, that's the whole point. Is the rotation is to just never have like a waning moment for the offense to be like, oh, TJ's off the field, now we can score. It's like, it's always just attack.
It's always attack. And like, why is Kansas City undefeated?
I don't know. I don't know.
I would say defense.
Yeah, defense. Actually, was like, I don't know, but referees. But yeah, defense right. Referees.
Well, the Steelers aren't going to get the refs to help them out. So
no, at all. And
so
you know what? I expect it.
Right.
Yeah, I expect that. I mean, they did get DeAndre Hopkins, who looked really good in this last game, for a 5th-round pick, which is what the Steelers got from Mike Williams. And they should have got DeAndre Hopkins instead, but I digress. That's just how it goes. That's the way it goes with that. But yeah, all in all, good game. But they got a bunch of people back. Derek, they got Cordell Patterson back. They got their rookie center back, who's having a great year so far, even though their backup filled in nicely for them. And now they're playing a big string of games where they need to score points. And we're also going to see where maybe you as an outside fan or like for a Viking fan, maybe you see this Steelers team and you're like, okay, let's see what Russell Wilson can do these next 9 weeks and if they can score against these better teams. Where I look at it and I think, let's see if the defense can step up against these better teams. Because I've been preaching for a while that I think the defense is good enough and not elite, even though they have a bunch of elite players on their team, because the defensive scheme, the defensive coaching isn't that good to me, in my opinion. I don't think it's that great. But I think they recognize that just by hearing interviews and the way they're talking about it. They know that they're not good, which is encouraging. Where I've gone through other seasons where they're like, we're the best, and they're not. I can tell they don't think they're good. So now, so to me, the test is not like, can Russ and the offense keep improving? Can the defense improve and stop some of these high-powered teams? And right away, we got a high-powered team, albeit rookie quarterback or not, in the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. Yeah. That's going to be a very tough one. You've got Jaden Daniels' legs and now his arm.
Huge arm.
Huge arm. And he doesn't have a whole lot of touchdowns, but he doesn't have a whole lot of turnovers. And I mean, this guy doesn't make mistakes. He is one of the best players in the league right now, rookie or not.
Absolutely.
Is it in Washington?
Sure is.
Yeah, this is a real game. Even win or lose, they need to come away. I mean, a 1-score game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, let's make this a shootout. I mean, I know the defense is supposed to be playing great, but let's see what this offense can do with Patterson back. I mean, I know Mike Williams just got there, but he's a vet. He should be able to plug and play, and he should be there to just give other people looks.
To a certain degree, a shootout, I think, even if the Steelers won the shootout, I think it'd make me pretty nervous because the following, not to look ahead on the schedule, but the following week they play the Ravens, and the Ravens offense is phenomenal right now, and their defense is what is lacking for the Ravens, which is like opposite of their entire franchise history. So I would love to see them be able to stop something on defense, is for being how many good players there are. I know sometimes that happens. You just can't. Weeks go by and you just can't play defense that good that week, and maybe they can turn it on the next week against the Ravens. They usually have Lamar's number, so that could make a bigger difference too. But I would like to see the defense be able to make some plays so I can feel better about the following week, regardless if they win or lose. I just kind of want to see the defense play better that way.
And with the win or lose thing, I mean, these next 2 weeks, they need to be at minimum 1-1. They either need to beat Daniels or beat Lamar. And
I would argue beating Lamar is more important, because losing to an NFC opponent is like when it's AFC, NFC, it's kind of like that sucks. But when it comes to playoff seedings, that's like one of the last tiebreakers they look at. I would argue beating Lamar is way more important for the division and everything else than beating Jaden Daniels.
Right. And boy, especially if the Ravens lose to Joey Burrow, I mean, they're going to be desperate for a win. They're not going to be going in there going, oh, okay, like, we have a 1-game lead or we're tied. Yep. I mean, it's going to be like if they're down, they're going to pull everything out and really want to beat the Steelers.
And it's and as you said, we'll be doing the picks tonight, and I already picked I won't be cheating. I already picked the Ravens to win tonight. The game is happening right now, but game break, the Bengals are up 21-7, just absolutely giving it to the Ravens. And that's the thing. The Ravens don't have a great defense, so that's going to happen sometimes. If their offense can't perform out, that defense is kind of Swiss cheese. Also, Joe Burrow having a career year, but his defense sucks. So we'll see what the Bengals can do too.
And some weird stat. I would have chose the Ravens as well. They are 1-3, I believe, without T. Higgins this year.
The Bengals?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Can't fact check me, I guess, right now, but yeah.
Well, I'll do some quick, in the spirit of Chris, I'll set it up with the keys to the game. Some quick keys to the game to me to beat the Commanders is kind of when from a quarterback standpoint, the same way they play Lamar, keep the scrambles in check, but and make them throw. However, I think Jaden Daniels is a better thrower than Lamar. It's a hot take that I stand by, even though Lamar's a 2-time MVP. I feel like he's more of an athlete than a really great quarterback to me. Kill me if you want. I don't know. That's just how I've always felt. So I think Jaden Daniels has an amazing arm, and he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. But you got to keep him contained, and also the more contained you keep him in the pocket, the worse it's going to be when TJ and Highsmith and Herbig and those guys we just talked about are coming after him. And the more pressure he gets in his face, the more panicked he can be and maybe make more mistakes. So, but they have to get there fast. I think he can throw the ball fast. They also got to be able to do what they've been doing, but every defense is going to get a little tougher. They got to be able to run the ball, hold control of the game. And the Commanders just got they got a big trade. They got Marshawn Lattimore on the trade deadline. So they've got 2 solid cornerbacks on the outside, and the Steelers, the passing game is going to be tough. So I would say one of the big key things is Russell Wilson in his game, he doesn't throw in the middle of the field. He's actually like a statistically really bad quarterback in the middle of the field. He just doesn't look there. He's going to need to look there because the Commander safeties aren't very good. He's got to make some throws in the middle of the field. They have Pat Freiermuth for a reason. We all have the moon shots on the sidelines, but I think the middle of the field is going to be your bread and butter. And then finally, of course, they don't make a lot of mistakes. The Steelers can make a lot of mistakes. It's got to be a clean game, as clean as it can be, because I think that's one of those games where it can get ugly fast. Not even just turnovers, but penalties. If the Steelers are committing a lot of penalties and a lot of turnovers, it's going to get ugly quick with the Commanders. They'll take advantage of every single one of those.
Couldn't agree more. You took mine. the whole don't make mistakes on offense. That was my key takeaway there is on offense. Just don't make a mistake. Yeah. I even think if you look at the Bear, obviously his amazing Hail Mary that Jaden Daniels had against the Bears. That was a field goal game. So even in the first half, if the Steelers keep just kicking field goals, that's fine. They're gonna get theirs. It's just don't make mistakes. You can fumble against the Giants on your side of the field and still win the game. If you do that against Jaden Daniels, I mean, he's at very minimum going to get 3 points off of that. Totally. And I mean, if he needs to get a touchdown, he'll probably get a touchdown because he throws Hail Marys and wins games.
Yeah, he does.
And then on the defensive side, on the defensive side, just contain Jaden Daniels. I don't think they need to. I mean, have the Commanders been like scoring that many points a game?
They were the past 2 against the Giants and the Bears a little bit down, but like they were ripping off 40-point games for a while there. Cliff Kingsbury was really having them cooking. I mean, there's a game where Jaden Daniels got hurt and Mariota came in. They still scored 40 points. I mean, they were cooking for a while.
Who was that against again?
Good question. Great question. I'm gonna go to schedule real quick. I'll go back
Yeah.
to this. Oh, well, I think it was against Carolina.
Yeah, there
So yeah,
there you go. Let's just tack
yeah,
that one off then.
yeah. It was against Carolina, but they did score. I mean, these aren't all the greatest teams, but there's a run here where they beat Cincinnati 38-33, then Arizona 42-14, then Cleveland 34-13. Then they lost to the Ravens by 7, 30-23, but then they beat Carolina 40-7. I mean, they still scored 27 last week against the Giants. They do score like a good amount of points.
Going into this one, I mean, you know who Jaden Daniels is. I don't know if they're going to be getting that many 30, 40 point games anymore, depending on how the game's called and kind of how it's going. But I don't know. Yeah, the Steelers defense probably isn't playing as well, but
they're better. They're better than most still.
Right.
They're still better than most. And that's the thing is like when I look at this depth chart, it's it's crazy that they have scored as many points as they have because they don't have a lot of weapons, which I know they want more, and they're gonna be a stronger team for the years to come. But like if the Steelers can stop the run game, which they didn't against the Giants with Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler, after that it's their best receiver is Terry McLaurin, who I love Terry, but after that it's just a huge fall off. It's Noah Brown, De'Ami Brown, and Luke McCaffrey. And Olamide Zacchaeus. I don't know, dude. A bunch of just a huge drop off after Terry. So it's like the pass defense should be able to have that covered. If they can stop Brian Robinson, they should have that covered. They should be able to stop that down. You got 50-year-old Zach Ertz at tight end. They should be able to stop Zach Ertz or have somebody that can run his 5.6 40 next to him. At left tackle, they have Brandon Coleman, who I'm not really sure of. Nick Allegretti at left guard, center Tyler Biads, who I think sounds familiar. Right guard Sam Cosmi. Yeah, is he good?
No, I have no idea.
Well, right guard Sam Cosmi, he is a stud. And right tackle against TJ Watt, his name is Andrew Wiley. I'm pretty sure he's pretty good. On defense, they have Clelin Ferrell, who was the Raiders' first round pick in 2020, I think. Deron Payne, Jerzon Newton, who was the first round pick or like the early second round pick of this year. He's a rookie. I heard he's been playing pretty well. And Dorrance Armstrong. So their front seven's pretty good, even without Jonathan Allen, which is pretty crazy. They also have Frankie Louvu, who has been having a good year. Bobby Wagner, Dante Fowler Jr., who's up on the sack leaderboards. He's been having a great year with them. And Benjamin. Those are your linebackers. So. And then after that, you have Benjamin St. Just, Jeremy Chin, who I like at strong safety, Quan Martin at free safety, never heard of him in my life, Marshawn Lattimore, who we talked about from the trade, which is a huge one, and Mike Sarenstrill, who I loved, and I wanted the Steelers to draft him out of Michigan. He's a beast, but he's also a rookie, so and nickelback. But even those ones, it's like, yeah, I thought they had a better starting cornerback on the outside, but it's like Benjamin St. Just is like whatever, and then Marshawn Lattimore. So it's like Marshawn Lattimore to me is like their best starting cornerback, and I'll take Pickens over pretty much almost anybody in the league on a jump ball. So I don't know. It's one of those things where like they are a really good team that's coached really well, but then you put the players on paper, and it's like there are holes here to beat this team, to attack them and beat them if they can do it.
Right. It's just don't turn over the ball.
Or penalties too.
Oh gosh, yeah, they've had some of those, haven't they?
Sometimes.
And even like, I'll bolt this question to you. We had kind of talked about Russell Wilson and running the ball, and clearly he, tried to do it once against the Giants, and it didn't turn out well. But it almost looks like people are trying to bait him to run now, because in Denver, that was a big thing, was he just wouldn't run the ball.
Yeah,
he's ran the ball before, and he's done it well. And he's still fast. Like, why not just when it's there? Say in the first half, it's, it's 7-10, 7-3. It's a close game. And it's 2nd and 9. Like, why not go ahead and just get those 4 yards and slide?
Oh, totally. And I think he would. I mean, that's the hope, right? It's the whole. I think the whole NFL league is, and the fans alike are waiting for Russ. What Russ is actually going to be playing? Is it going to be Seattle's Russ or Denver's Russ? And so far, which I don't want to judge it yet, it's been 2 games. So far, it's been good because he hasn't been making the big mistakes. I haven't actually really seen him throw a ball that was like a dropped interception. I haven't really seen him make like a bad read yet. Knock on wood, but every quarterback's going to make a bad read at some point. It's impossible to go, without one. But I haven't seen him make really a bad read yet. So where at Denver, he had a lot of those. I saw a bunch of plays from Denver last year where he just wasn't reading the field correctly at all. And I feel like he's been reading it really well these past 2 games. He should have had a little more touchdowns if it wasn't for a couple holding penalties. So I don't know, knock on wood, but he's been playing well, and I hope that he can make those smart decisions too, to take the yards when they're there and grab them.
2 weeks in a bye. I mean, this is going to be like the real test for him to actually see what he's made of. Now, if you're, Steeler head coach, you lose this one and then you lose against the Ravens, and
yikes.
Russ is now Russ is 2-2 as a starter. He hasn't looked as good. You had somebody who was 4-2. Do you even go back?
Not yet, but you are thinking about it. I would say if he keeps dropping games, I mean, if they get to like around 500 with like 4 left to go and playoffs are looking bleak, then I think you switch, because then you're looking at like, what does the future hold with Justin Fields? Because we're going to give him a contract, and how does he progress and look? So then you switch. But I don't think, I think I'd take more than 2 games. It'd pretty much take like a full 500 collapse. Like they're 6-2 right now. They'd probably have to be like 6-6 for him to make the switch back over.
Right. And this does look like a different, I know Tomlin got extended, but this seems like a different vibe here. I don't know if they had a conversation where it was like, hey, yeah, you're 10-7 again. What are we doing? Like, we gotta, like, literally, we know the formula how to be a successful team. How are we like a contender? Right. Because last 7 years, I got to be honest, I never saw the Steelers as a contender at all.
I think it's like, it's kind of what I talked about with the mindset, even like from the defenders, when they're talking about how they know they're not good enough right now, and which is encouraging, because I always think about that 2020 year where the Steelers went 11-0, and I didn't think they were very good even when I was watching them, and when they would lose, like they lost that streak and they were 11-1. And Tomlin was like, we're 11-1. We don't need to change. And they lose again. We're 11-2. We don't need to change. And then they lose again. And he's like, we're 11-3. We don't need to change. And then they win one. And then he's like, I told you. And then they lose again. He's like, we're 12-4. It's fine. Like, it was like that cocky attitude to be like, even when they lost, he's like, we don't need to change everything because we're losing. And it's like, well, you do, because everyone knows how you're, like, you've been figured out. Now you're losing consistently. And you need to change. As soon as you lost 2 in a row after 11-0, you should be panicking. You'd be like, we're figured out. We're losing. Because they were losing to good teams. They lost to like the 3-14 Bengals and like the 5-11 Redskins at the time, back to back. And it was like that's a panic at that point. And they didn't. So, and there was a cockiness to that whole team. Ben was part of that as well. Where like this one, it's like, it's a bunch of players who haven't done anything. So there's throughout their career, you know what I mean? There's or like they've been through hard times. It's like the defense knows they have to be better. You have a quarterback in Russell Wilson who has won a Super Bowl, but just came off from a 2-year stint in Denver where everyone hated him, like just hated him. You have a quarterback in Justin Fields who got kicked out of Chicago that he thought loved him. And he got kicked out of there. It's like you have a team full of players who can't really be cocky because they've never won anything. So I'm hoping that's the reason why.
And you have people coming back, not just those guys. I mean, Russell Wilson's lost a Super Bowl. He's dealt with adversity, like you said. But on top of that, you have Cordell Patterson. He's won a Super Bowl, actually. He knows how to be a gadget guy. Are they going to be able to use him correctly? Mike Williams, I mean, he's gone through a lot this year and he's gone through a lot of injury, but he, was a guy in 2022. He had like 900 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's what they need from him. They don't need him to be anything else. They have Pickens. It's like, hey, can you
just take the defense away for a little bit?
Right.
Yeah. And they used Cordell actually pretty well. They before he got hurt, because he was hurt for a while, but they used him against the Colts game. Najee couldn't get any yards against that team.
And he had like 70 rushing yards.
Yeah, on like 7 attempts. It was like 10-yard rip, 10-yard rip, 10-yard. It was just, he just was ripping them off. And then he got hurt in that game and they couldn't make the comeback. And then he's been out since then. So, I don't know. I agree. It's been a different vibe for sure. So
they hit the panic button at 4-2, I think. I think they were like, oh no, this offense is starting to look like last year's. We need to do something.
I think so.
So super impressed with that, because I thought they were like an 8-9 team, and clearly I'm wrong. But I just, what can they do at the last half of the year here to not end up 10-7?
Yeah, I will say, regardless of that or not, you can. It's not just you; it's for everybody out there. You can never, don't ever predict them to have a losing season, because they just don't. Tomlin has voodoo magic. He's never had a losing season. He never will. But like, I also don't really care about that. I want to see him win a playoff game, because they're in the longest playoff drought ever since the 60s right now. But it's just like, it's to you, but it's also to like everybody else out there who's like, oh, I thought they're gonna have a losing season this year. Don't. It's the Steelers. They're inevitable. They always have a winning record. Just expect them a winning record. You can say they'll lose the first round of the playoffs, because that's fine. Because they have been. But don't expect them to have a losing record. They just don't. They always have a winning record. I've literally never seen them have a losing record in my life, Derek, since watching the Steelers.
God, maybe it's time.
Not this year.
No, not this year.
Soon it will be, but not this year. It will be soon, but not this year. Let's do some game predictions, and let's get out of here and go to bed. Not together, unless you want to. But
I mean,
first up, Bengals Ravens. We already kind of talked about it. I did say Ravens, but they are playing right now. What did you say?
And I would have said Ravens as well. Like I said, I believe they're 1-3 without T. Higgins, and I just didn't want to bet against Lamar. But maybe that's our mistake for betting against Joe Burrow. So I'll be honest. I would have said Ravens. I was thinking Ravens.
I would have said Ravens, but update right now, even though people who will be listening to this tomorrow, because I'm editing it tomorrow, so the game will be over. It is 21-14 right now. Bengals on top, 14 minutes left. Now up next, you got the Germany game. Thanks for World War II. We're giving you the Giants and Panthers. You can watch that.
Woo. Still have feelings about it.
I saw a tweet like a long time ago that was like, why did the NFL give Germany the Giants and Panthers? And someone said, you know why. So,
boy.
There you go.
My prediction is this is just a loss for everybody.
Yeah, everyone involved.
Jeez, I'm sorry to all the Panther and Giant fans. I'm going Giants. There's something wrong in New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Well, they lost to the Panthers.
Oh yeah, sure.
Listen, yeah, Bryce Young did throw 2 touchdowns. I want him to be good.
Me too.
It's just not going to work out. I think Daniel Jones, as inept as that whole organization has been. I mean, there was one point where they, took the Vikings out in the playoffs when they were 13-4.
Yeah, that was rough.
Giants are going to take this one.
Both franchises are extremely poorly run, more so the Panthers, but I'm also going to do the Giants in this game as well. Up next is Patriots at Bears. This is a little tough.
Yeah, there's a lot of outside noise now with the Bears where it's like, whoa, the receiver, a disgruntled receiver, the coach, he can't coach. I still think that
those are true.
Yeah. And 2 weeks ago, we weren't saying any of this. They've lost 2 games in a row with a rookie quarterback, and they're 500. I mean, it's everyone's fault for expecting the Bears to be this just powerhouse. Like,
I do think they should be better than what they are, because I do think coaching holds them back. You can't put with all the weapons they have, you cannot put all the blame on Caleb Williams because he is a rookie. So they should have like a better game plan and better. I mean, their defense is supposed to be good. I don't know if you saw the play from last week. The Arizona Cardinals, they handed the off to running back. 5 seconds left in the half. I think they're just trying to get in field goal range. And he just ran by everybody for a touchdown. They're in prevent defense, and they just watched him run by everybody for a touchdown. And it's like, what?
To bring it to the Commanders again, I mean, they beat the Commanders, and then one guy decided he just like
showboat.
He glitched and then decided to just give the other team the win.
Yep. So shout out Tyreek Stevenson, who Bears fans thought was better than Joey Porter Jr., and he's not. So just got a shout out there.
Drake May, he's shown some stuff where it's like, I like him. But I don't like him this week. I still am going to go with the Bears. Listen, they should be 5-3. If it wasn't for some knucklehead plays, I hope I don't regret choosing the Bears, and I hope they get on the right track. But I think they should against the Patriots.
The Patriots are kind of a scrappy team because they beat the Jets last week, and right?
Oh, yeah, they beat the Jets. Yeah, the playoff bound Jets.
Yeah, they beat the Jets last week. They're kind of like this scrappy team that finds ways to win. Drake May is playing well, but Chicago's a tough place to play. And that's kind of my only reason for going for the Bears on this one, is because it's a really tough place to play.
Listen, the Patriots beat the Jets, but I mean, the Bears were competitive against the Commanders. I think the Jets and Commanders are two different teams.
I mean, you're right. They basically should have won that game. So then you got 49ers at Buccaneers.
Oh, this is a tough one to call. Baker played a great game against Patrick Mahomes.
He did.
They just decided to they should have went for two. They should have went for two and just ended it there, because no one needs to see Patrick Mahomes in overtime. No one needs to see that. Ever.
They both need a win desperately to stay alive. Even though he had a good game last week, I just still find it harder for the Bucs to do that without Mike Williams and Godwin. So I'm going to give it to the Niners. That's just how we're going to do that for there.
Is McCaffrey back?
I think so. Yeah. That's
all right. Well, I'm going to put an asterisk by this. If McCaffrey's back, Niners win. If McCaffrey's not there, Baker's going to find a way.
All right. I'm allergic to that take. I'm about to sneeze. Okay, hold it in. Up next. Oh, go ahead.
No, McCaffrey's allergic to playing.
Yeah, it has been for years.
It was let's cut this.
Let's give it up for him. Give it up.
Cut that.
I'm leaving it in. I'm going to actually amplify the volume on that.
Ooh.
Reverb it.
Ooh.
That grasshopper noises on the cricket. Broncos at Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Yep. In a perfect world, here's the thing. I do think the Broncos can beat the Chiefs, just not this week, because it's in KC. But KC's not going to go undefeated to me. They could lose to a division opponent. That's usually where teams lose, because it's hard to always stay perfect against your division, but it's not this week. So, Bills at Colts.
Bills. I mean, last week Flacco really, that was kind of his game that he should have played competitive, or even if they, maybe they should have won, because they have a harder week this week. Josh Allen, it's hard to stop them. I think they're humming. They're 7-2. Usually at this point,
he's playing good.
He's not really good. He's not making mistakes. Usually at this point,
no,
they're kind of in like this 5-3 range. And he had a couple 2-3 pick games, and everyone's acting like it's the end of the world. That's not happening anymore. So no, I think Bills roll.
They're kind of quietly scary too. I'm gonna also go Bills. Steelers at Commanders.
Ooh. This is the Northern. Are we allowed to pick against the Steelers in this?
Yeah, you can. We have before, especially when Kenny Pickett was leading the team, or Mitch Trubisky, for that matter. We've definitely picked against them.
Well, I'm supposed to be positive in this podcast, so I'm gonna go Steelers, and here's why: just rookie quarterback.
You could be positive that they'll lose.
No. They're gonna win. They're gonna win, and
right.
I think Jaden Daniels is great. I think this is not gonna affect their year, but they've had a couple close calls against a couple bad or okay teams.
You want to hear you said rookie quarterback. You want to hear a stat from the Steelers? Mike Tomlin is 25-6 against rookie quarterbacks, so usually a very good record. However, one of those losses last year to rookie quarterback, also the second overall pick in the draft, who was playing on fire, was C.J. Stroud, and they got lit up last year. So they don't lose often to rookie quarterbacks, but it can happen. They also, this actually, that I think about this, it's kind of funny. I said that they lost to the second round pick in the draft and they got lit up by CJ Stroud. I also remember when they lost the second round pick in the draft in Carson Wentz, his rookie year. They got lit up in that game too. I also remember that. That's also one of the 6 losses. Carson Wentz, NDSU legend.
I miss those days. Miss those days when he was just MVP Wentz.
Yeah, Steelers lost to him rookie year.
It's going to come back.
Well, Mahomes got hurt last game.
Oh, I was ready.
It was non-contact, as I heard, and I was like, it's Carson Wentz time. Here we go.
Mahomes went back in because he knew. He knew it would be over for him.
Job over.
Job over. He's like, oh, crap.
All right, easiest game of the week to me, but we'll see what you think. Vikings at Jaguars. Oh, also I'm picking the Steelers, by the way. Vikings at Jaguars.
Okay. I have to go Vikings. Like this just... As a Vikings fan, though, this is another game where it's like, oh, let's be 6-2 and make a blockhead play. We were talking about Carson Wentz. Sam Darnold, in ways, has been compared to Carson Wentz. Maybe it's just because they're both tall, ginger, and occasionally make some bad plays. But let's keep this positive. This is a Vikings team that just needs to win, and they need to just keep winning. And they are that talented. So let's just be talented. Let's beat those teams that we should beat.
Did you know Trevor Lawrence isn't playing?
I did not. I'm still I'm still a Vikings fan. So things like that happen where it's like, I watching the Colts and Vikings, I was like, I was nervous. I'm like, Joe Flacco is going to throw 4 touchdowns in prime time. And I'm so glad that didn't happen.
If Mac Jones beats the Vikings, I'll do the next podcast episode completely nude.
God, but even that makes me nervous. It's like Mac Jones has played good before, and I can't wait to be doing a podcast with you in the nude.
Well, yeah, in your dreams. We got Falcons at Saints next.
Yeah, I know they just fired the coach, but Kirk's going to keep going. That's another team that just should be good. And I mean, Derek Carr kind of reminds me of Russell Wilson in his post-game press conferences, but
he throws hospital balls, getting all his receivers hurt.
Yeah. Ask Michael Thomas; he'll tell you. Falcons
and Olave's brother. I'm gonna go Falcons as well. Titans at Chargers. Game of the week, probably.
Yeah, game of the week. Oof. Chargers are taking this one.
Yeah. I don't care if it's Mason Rudolph or Mane's boy. Chargers are winning that game. Then you got Jets at Cardinals.
Listen,
actually pretty tough, I think.
Listen, I'm
listening.
We got Aaron Rodgers. They feel they're back. They feel they're starting to go. They got to win against a very injured Texans team. They're still a 3-6 ball club. I don't know. I don't see this boding well for the Jets.
I can't ever predict the Cardinals games right. because they're every time I pick them to win, they lose. Every time I pick them to lose, they win. I'm picking the Jets just because, and like if the Cardinals win, I'm not going to be shocked by this. But I'm picking the Jets just because if they truly believe that they're a playoff team, and Aaron Rodgers is like, of course I'm going to make the playoffs, they have to keep winning games. They can't afford a loss ever again. So and if you want to make the playoffs, Aaron Rodgers, you have to beat the 5-4 Cardinals. You do. Yeah. So I'm giving the Jets. But if they lose, we'll be shocked.
Don't love my pick either because the Cardinals just haven't looked that great offensively. But also, if you want to be a playoff team, don't you beat the rebuilding Patriots?
Right. Yeah. I don't think they are a playoff team. I'm just saying if that's what they think in their head, they have to win these games still.
Right.
And I think they still believe that they are.
Okay. Well, we'll see though.
Next is Eagles at Cowboys. Jalen Hurts against Cooper Rush.
I think the Eagles found themselves, and I think it's fly, Eagles fly.
Yeah, I think it doesn't matter because Cooper Rush is playing, and then probably Trey Lance shortly after. So I'm going Eagles.
I hope Trey Lance plays. Like, let's see what he's made of.
Too.
I mean, I don't know if a great I don't know if a great way to see what he's made of is against the Eagles with this Cowboys team, but I
mean, whatever, dude. Whatever. Their record sucks. Their whole team kind of sucks. I mean, if I was Trey Lance, because he hasn't been that good, I just go out there and just sling it.
Just let it rip.
Yeah, who cares?
Play Josh Allen ball.
Yeah, for real. On Sunday night, I think this would have been a good game if this team was actually healthy, but it's Lions at Texans.
Yeah, Lions are going to win. I don't want them to, but the Texans are in a tough spot. However, they're a little lucky because their division is trash.
Yeah, it's Texans are going to be losing. It's kind of like I've already counted out the Colts and all those other teams, but when the Texans, if they lose this game, which I think they will too, I'm picking the Lions. The Colts are actually kind of in a good position to still take this division over, which is crazy. But the Texans, I mean, it's Nico, and they're getting Nico Collins back, but it's like Nico Collins hurt, Diggs out for the year, Kenyon Green out for the year, another lineman out for the year. Will Anderson got hurt last game. It's like, Jesus Christ, it just never ends. So, and then CJ Stroud's just getting sacked like crazy, which is not helping his sophomore slump he's kind of having too. So, and then Monday night game, a bunch of who cares, but Dolphins at Rams.
Boy, this feels like the Cardinals Jets pick where it's like, oh, I don't like picking either one of these. I'm picking the quarterback and I'm picking the Rams. I think McVay and Stafford.
This is like the opposite of the Jets and Cardinals game because I don't think the Dolphins believe they're a playoff team. So I'm picking, and I think the Rams do. So I'm picking Rams.
I haven't been listening to a lot of McDaniel's press conferences, but like, is he still just like, looks like he is down in the dumps?
I think so. I mean, it's like, how are they so bad? But I mean, we all know why, because Tua keeps getting hurt. But I think he's like, what? Like another year wasted. But yeah, man, I don't know. But that is going to do it for the picks. Thank you for listening to the Northern Steel Podcast. I'm Dominic. This is Derek. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Grubhub, League of Legends, Club Penguin, and Disney 365. Derek, do you have any last words for the people?
Roll, steal, whatever Russ's thing is that he says now. Catchphrase.
Let's weld. Ride? Let's solder. Anyways, we'll see you guys next week.
It's spicy. It's spicy.
Goodbye.